Here.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I'm very honored to speak with you. I'm a proud pacman.pt.vu member. I'm also a former air traffic controller in the U.S. Air Force. And once the shock of 9/11 wore off, my training pretty much disclosed how absurd 9/11 was. But that's not the reason that I'm calling. The reason that I'm calling is that, with this whole WikiLeaks story, I kind of feel that this is maybe possibly the beginning of the end of independent news via the internet. I almost get the feeling that it's like a false flag.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you whether WikiLeaks is good or not, and I tend to think they're good. They are now trying to use, look, they used this clip of this government official saying I wouldn't help the white farmer, but it was out of context. I'm seeing a drumbeat everywhere of the mainstream media needs to shut down the alternative media. And now because of this WikiLeaks thing, we've got to have a gatekeeper to check things first before it can be put on the web, because this is just too dangerous. And yes, that's one of the points I was going to bring up. Very, very dangerous time. Go ahead.
Well, hey, that's all I had to say, Alex. Just keep up the good work. You've enlightened me in many, many ways, and I appreciate that.
Well, let's go back, though, Eric, because the truth is the truth. And NORAD did stand down. There were CIA drills of the very targets being hit at the very same time. We have the police saying, get back, the government's going to blow up Building 7. I mean, that's CNN. I mean, we know the official story is a lie. And we can't just choose to say, well, I'll buy what the government says about 9/11 because it feels better. Now, as an air traffic controller with the Air Force, formerly, what sent up red flags for you?
Well, 757s are not stealth. And, we were trained to control planes from hitting one another. And if beacons went down, if communications went down, as a controller, we still had the responsibility to keep that aluminum from hitting. And so when you have a primary target that's being painted on a radar screen that's going off its airway, which is its flight path to its destination, and their story is that they turn the transponders off. Well, when I was controlling from 1983 to 87, we could tag those targets and put our own tracking data on it, meaning that, we could tag that target.
And they did mark the targets, but then NORAD came in and took control and put simulation overlays and was removing it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think any of us know because they haven't really talked about it. But what's absurd is that those targets, those don't go away. And if they're off course and you've got a controller that's responsible for that particular aircraft, and he's also responsible for other aircraft that he's controlling, and then this target is getting ready to hit some other controller's airspace that they have to control, they have to let people know. And it's not only a controller, but that controller has an assistant next to him, and then standing over his head, he's got a supervisor. So the whole damn thing is absurd, completely.
Eric, I appreciate your call, but what I'm telling you is we have the tapes. There were simulations going on to confuse the air traffic controllers. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on Earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
I'm going to continue with Cliff, John, Doug, and Mike, at least those calls. Then I need to get into a bunch of important news dealing with the oil, possible evacuations in the Gulf, the economy. Also, an interesting story I saw out Friday, and it's up on Infowars.com, where they admit that Prozac levels going into the Gulf of Mexico, because all the major water supplies end up feeding out through those rivers, is dumping Prozac, most of it passes through you, and making the shrimp commit suicide, basically. They'll swim right up to birds because it just makes them feel completely confident. That's the same reason in almost every case, mass murderers, people who aren't psychopaths, mothers who chop their babies' arms off, mass shooters at schools, they're on these serotonin reuptake inhibitors because it takes all inhibition away. I mean, I've known women in college that were on this stuff, and let me tell you, they were wild. Something was wrong with them. And I'd date them, and then I'd quit dating them because something was wrong with them. I'll just leave it at that. That it makes people very promiscuous, you name it. It just shuts off the thinking process. Let's go ahead and talk to Cliff in Virginia. Cliff, you're on the air.
Well, hey, Alex, how you doing?
Good, sir.
I just wanted to talk about some of this WikiLeaks stuff that's been going on. This is just typical of what they do in the mainstream media is they demonize people who try to get the truth out. Patriots become terrorists. And if you'd allow me, I'd like to relate a personal anecdote along those lines. If you recall, last September 11th, the anniversary last year, they had a false flag event on the Potomac with the Coast Guard. And that incident prompted me to write an email at my company. And it's pretty short, if you allow me to read it. It's entitled Public Service Announcement. It was sent with high importance. It says, today is the 8th anniversary of the day the Bush administration murdered 3,000 people to enable the illegal invasion of the Middle East. This level of treason is unprecedented in the history of this nation. The attacks of September 11th, 2001, were not only a physical attack, they were a psychological attack on the people of this country in order to sway public opinion for an invasion of the Middle East oil fields. Osama bin Laden had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11 and publicly stated that fact. The American people have been brainwashed, lied to, deceived, and murdered. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are murderers, traitors, and war criminals. They should be tried, convicted, and publicly executed, hung by their necks until they are dead, which under the military tribunals is the accepted form of punishment for treason.
John, or is this Cliff?
This is Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff, look, I do call for government people to be brought to justice through a legal court, but this is a large platform, and my show is not the place to talk about executing former presidents and vice presidents. And so I appreciate your call. I do agree that 9/11 is a false flag attack. We know the official story is a fraud. We know that Cheney was clearly involved. As for Bush, he's a complete puppet. But in my position, President Bush and Cheney could go to prison tomorrow, and all this evil is going to continue. They are mid-level puppets. Believe me, this is not the place for you to probably come on air. And even I understand you're saying after a court finds them guilty in all of this, I don't want any violence or to talk about any violence against Obama, Bush, or any of these people. We're under extreme scrutiny. But separate from that, I don't believe talk about violence is the way to go. I just want to try to reach out to people and get them to see the larger picture of what's happening, and then we can come together and decide as a society what we're going to do about that. But I appreciate your call. Interesting email you sent around at work. Okay, we'll go to others when we come back after this quick break. Stay.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones, and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nano-silver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nano-silver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs generator. Very easy to follow, step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology